The Grand Imperial Ambassador of the Zixanari Empire stood before the United Nations General Assembly, his purple-tinted epidermis gleaming under Earth's artificial lighting. His ceremonial robes, draped with medals that clinked with every gesture, seemed designed to impress. They did not. "People of Earth," he announced, his translator converting his clicks and whistles into crisp English. "I come bearing the final word of His most luminous and exponentially expanding magnificence, Emperor Kurtz, the Unpronounceable." He paused for effect, clearly expecting gasps of awe. He got a few poorly suppressed snickers instead. The ambassador's secondary breathing holes fluttered in annoyance. "Our mighty empire, spanning 27,000 star systems and ruling over 300 sentient species, has determined that your civilization is insufficiently serious about joining the galactic community." The UN Secretary-General, a retired comedian from New Zealand, coughed into his hand. It sounded suspiciously like compensating for something. "Therefore," the ambassador continued, his voice rising to drown out the growing murmurs, "we hereby declare formal hostilities against your planet. You have 24 Earth hours to surrender unconditionally or face the consequences." The Chinese representative raised her hand. "Quick question. Did you just travel 16 light years to tell us you're declaring war because we're not taking things seriously enough?" "Correct." The ambassador puffed up his thorax. "Your species responds to formal diplomatic overtures with what you call memes. You answered our request for cultural exchange with something called Rick-rolling. You named your first faster-than-light vessel Boaty McBoatface II, Electric Boogaloo." "To be fair," the Russian delegate interjected, "that was a public vote. You sent us a formal diplomatic package containing, and I quote, D's nuts." The ambassador's translator somehow managed to convey both confusion and outrage simultaneously. The Brazilian representative stood up, her face a masterpiece of forced composure. "Ambassador, with all due respect to his most, exponentially whatever, have you considered that maybe, just maybe, you're proving our point?" "Explain," demanded the ambassador, his ceremonial headpiece wobbling dangerously. "Well," she gestured at his elaborate costume, "you're standing here in what looks like a disco ball, had a baby with a military parade, threatening to wage war on us because we don't take you seriously enough. Do you not see the irony?" The American representative leaned forward, grinning. "You might even call it a self-fulfilling prophecy." The ambassador's colour shifted from purple to an interesting shade of mauve. "This is exactly the behaviour we're talking about. You treat everything like a joke." "Not everything," the Secretary-General replied, finally losing his battle with composure and wiping tears of laughter from his eyes. "Just the things that are funny, and mate, right now you're hilarious." As the assembly dissolved into poorly contained laughter, the ambassador realized, with sinking dread, that he might have just made a terrible mistake. But orders were orders, and the Empire had spoken. He drew himself up to his full height, which would have been more impressive if humans weren't on average a foot taller than his species. "You have 24 hours. Choose wisely." As he stormed out, the French representative called after him, "Don't forget to click your heels 3 times on your way out." The doors hadn't even closed behind him before the assembly erupted into uncontrolled hilarity. Humanity's first interstellar war was about to begin, and it was already a comedy of errors. The emergency UN Security Council meeting was scheduled for 1 hour after the ambassador's departure. It lasted 6 hours, but not because of any crisis management issues. They simply couldn't stop laughing long enough to form complete sentences. "Order! Order!" The Secretary-General banged his gavel, wiping tears from his eyes. "We need to formulate Earth's official response to this declaration of war." "I propose," wheezed the German representative, still clutching his sides, "that we send them a formal declaration of no you." "With all due respect," the Indian representative managed between giggles, "we need to take this somewhat seriously. They do have a fleet." "A fleet that took 16 years to get here," pointed out the Mexican delegate. "You know what that means. We have 16 years to prepare our defenses, minimum. Those purple drama queens literally gave us a decade-and-a-half head start. The Japanese representative stood up, her face suddenly serious. The room quieted, expecting wisdom. "I propose," she said solemnly, "we establish the first Earth Defense Force." A pause. "The Meme Division." The silence lasted approximately 3 seconds before someone in the back shouted, "Space Force 2, Electric Boogaloo," and the room lost it again. But the idea stuck. Within hours, #Alien Karen was trending worldwide. Social media platforms exploded with content faster than the Empire's fastest ships. TikTok users were already choreographing dances to the ambassador's speech, with particular emphasis on his wobbling headpiece. The Brazilian representative's phone buzzed. "Oh my God," she gasped. "Someone already made an auto-tune remix. It's beautiful. Put it on speaker." The remixed speech, set to a pounding beat, filled the chamber. "Your civilization is insufficiently serious *base*, about joining the galactic community." "This is it," declared the British representative, standing up. "This is our defense strategy. They declared war because we weren't serious enough? Let's show them exactly how unserious we can be." The UN's official response came 3 hours later, delivered via quantum communication directly to the Empire's flagship. It was a masterpiece of diplomatic trolling. "Dear His Most Luminous and Exponentially Expanding Magnificence, do you have inflation issues? Yeah. We, the people of Earth, having received your declaration of war, respond as follows. 1. LOL. 2. LMAO. 3. Furthermore, Rofel. We hereby declare our intention to continue being absolutely insufferable. We will not surrender, but we will send you our finest collection of cat videos as a peace offering. P.S. Your ambassador's headpiece gives us second-hand embarrassment. Please provide him with something less extra. Sincerely, humanity. P.P.S. We've taken the liberty of creating a TikTok account for your empire. You're welcome. The Chinese representative had insisted on adding a final touch. A gif of a cat knocking things off a table, captioned, "Your empire's threats be like..." Meanwhile, Earth's newly established Meme Warfare Division was already hard at work. The Australian Director of Operations, a retired professional shitposter, had one clear mission: make them regret taking themselves so seriously. Civilian contributions poured in. Someone recreated the entire declaration of war in Minecraft. Another person translated it into Yuwu speak. A group of linguistics professors published a paper analyzing the statistical correlation between the Empire's pomposity and their apparent lack of a sense of humor. "Sir," a junior analyst rushed into the UN command center, "you need to see this. The Empire's communication channels, they're being flooded." On the main screen, millions of Earth's finest memes were being broadcast directly into every Imperial communication device. Rick Astley's "Never Gonna Give You Up" played on loop in their military frequencies. Their propaganda channels now displayed nothing but pictures of cats wearing space helmets. The Secretary-General leaned back in his chair, a satisfied smile on his face. "And so it begins," he declared. "The Great Meme War of 2024. Someone in the back started humming The Final Countdown. Within minutes, the entire command center had joined in, complete with air guitars. The Empire had no idea what they'd just started. But they were about to find out. Deep within the Imperial flagship, grandiloquent purpose. The Empire's finest intelligence analysts were having collective nervous breakdowns. "This makes no sense." Chief Analyst ZB Tex slammed his tentacles against the holographic display. "They're facing the mightiest military force in the known galaxy, and they respond with... What even is this?" His assistant pulled up the latest transmission from Earth. On screen, a human in what appeared to be a poorly constructed cardboard replica of their ambassador's ceremonial robes pranced around making exaggerated proclamations. The video had garnered several billion views across the galaxy in just 6 hours. "Perhaps," ventured junior analyst MXElp, "it's an elaborate form of psychological warfare." The emergency strategy meeting wasn't going any better. Admiral Varexit, decorated veteran of 16 successful planetary conquests, stared at the briefing screen with all three of his eyes twitching simultaneously. "Can someone explain," he asked with dangerous calm, "why our battlecruiser pilots are receiving thousands of messages asking if their quantum drives are running?" A nervous lieutenant cleared his throat. "When our pilots respond affirmatively, the humans reply with, 'Then you better catch it.'" The Admiral's colour shifted to deep crimson. "And our response? 3 destroyer captains have already requested early retirement. One wrote in his resignation, 'I cannot serve in a military that has become a galactic laughingstock.'" In the Cultural Analysis Department, Professor Ether was attempting to explain human behavior to the Imperial High Command. It wasn't going well. "You see," she pointed at her chart, "humans appear to use something called sarcasm as a primary form of communication. When we declare our intention to annihilate their species, they respond with, 'Oh no, anyway.' Our psychological models indicate this should be causing terror, not whatever this is." She gestured to another screen where humans were orchestrating something called a flash mob outside their planetary defense headquarters, dancing to a remixed version of the Imperial anthem interspersed with what they called fart noises. The Imperial propaganda minister burst into the room, looking frazzled. "They've done something to our emergency broadcast system. Every time we try to transmit threatening messages, it automatically adds something called UU to the end of each sentence." "Example?" demanded the Admiral. The minister pulled up their latest ultimatum: "Surrender now, or face total annihilation, UU." In the ship's meditation chamber, the ambassador was trying to maintain his dignity while explaining the situation to the Emperor via quantum hologram. "Your most luminous magnificence," he bowed so low his headpiece nearly fell off. "The humans appear to be weaponizing absurdity." The Emperor's massive form shifted uncomfortably on his throne. "Surely our military might—" "They've turned your last speech into something called a dance challenge, Your Magnificence. It's trending across 3 galactic arms." The Imperial Military Intelligence Director interrupted the meeting, his usual professional demeanour completely shattered. "Your Magnificence, we've intercepted their primary defence strategy document. It's just a collection of images they call memes, featuring something called Grumpy Cat, expressing disdain for our empire." Meanwhile, in the ship's communications centre, operators were losing their minds trying to maintain protocol in the face of constant human transmissions. "Sir, they're doing it again." "No." "Doing what, Lieutenant? Every time we send a formal communication, they respond with new com who dis." The Admiral slumped in his command chair, watching as his once proud military force descended into chaos. Half his fleet was trying to understand why humans kept asking about Ligma, while the other half was secretly sharing Earth memes in encrypted channels. "Have we perhaps," he ventured carefully, "made a tactical error in our approach?" Professor Ether, who'd been studying human behavior patterns, looked up from her datapad with haunted eyes. "Sir, I don't think they're even trying to defeat us. They're just entertaining themselves, and somehow that's worse." As if to prove her point, a new transmission arrived from Earth. It was their official military response to the Empire's latest threats, consisting entirely of a chicken crossing the road joke, followed by finger guns. The Admiral stared into space, his military career flashing before his eyes. "Contact High Command," he ordered finally. Tell them we may need to reconsider our definition of serious civilization." Behind him, another junior officer quietly added UBU to the end of his message before transmitting it. The UN Diplomatic Corps, now officially renamed to Department of Intergalactic Trolling, submitted their first peace treaty proposal to the Empire. It was written entirely in emojis. "Make sure," instructed the Secretary-General, "that we include the eggplant emoji at least 17 times. I want their cultural analysts to have an existential crisis trying to decode its significance." The treaty began, and somehow got more incomprehensible from there. The Empire's most sophisticated translation AI spent 3 days analysing it before declaring electronic bankruptcy and shutting itself down. But that was just the beginning. Earth's social media influencers had discovered that the Empire's communication protocols couldn't distinguish between official diplomatic channels and their posts. The results were catastrophic. A beauty vlogger started the Imperial Glow-Up Challenge, where humans attempted to recreate the ambassador's ceremonial makeup using dollar store supplies. The trend reached the Empire's own youth, who began secretly ordering human cosmetics through black market channels. "Your Magnificence," reported the Imperial Minister of Culture, "we've detected over 3 million instances of our own citizens attempting something called contouring. Morale is deteriorating." The Emperor himself couldn't escape. Someone had discovered that his official title, His Most Luminous and Exponentially Expanding Magnificence, could be sung perfectly to the tune of Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. The resulting musical number, featuring dancing quantum physicists explaining exponential growth through interpretive dance, went viral across 17 star systems. Earth's Meme Warfare Division launched Operation Chaos Comedy. They began sending increasingly absurd peace proposals. "Dear Empire, we propose a resolution to this conflict through a dance-off. Loser has to write a 5,000-word essay on why they're a silly billy. Terms non-negotiable. P.S. We've noticed your ships are dummy thick. Is that aerodynamically efficient in space? Yours sincerely, Humanities Minister of Sickburns." The Empire's cultural experts were dropping like flies. Professor Ether's latest report consisted entirely of the words, "Why are they like this?" written 10,000 times. Her assistant found her in the lab, surrounded by Earth memes, muttering something about "reject humanity, return to Munker." The humans had also discovered the Empire's equivalent of PowerPoint presentations. Every official Imperial briefing was now being interrupted by slides featuring what humans called dad jokes. The Empire's military strategy meetings dissolved into chaos when someone hacked their presentation software to replace all bullet points with tiny pictures of actual bullets doing finger guns. "Sir," reported the Imperial Tech Chief, "they've somehow programmed our holographic displays to play something called Neon Cat every time we try to show battle plans. Our strategic planning efficiency has dropped by 94%. But the real breaking point came when Earth submitted their most sophisticated peace treaty yet. It was a 500-page document that, when read aloud, turned out to be the lyrics to "Never Gonna Give You Up," translated into formal diplomatic language. "We, the representatives of Earth, hereby declare our steadfast commitment to never initiating a process of surrender or desertion of our allies." The Empire's diplomatic corps spent a week analysing it before someone's teenager pointed out what it was. 3 senior diplomats immediately requested transfers to the Empire's most distant colony. The humans had also discovered that the Empire's ships responded to voice commands. Now, every time a ship captain tried to order their vessel to move, they had to specifically add "and I'm not doing a TikTok challenge" to prevent the ship's AI from breaking into choreographed engine patterns. Earth's scientists, not to be left out, submitted a formal research paper to the Imperial Academy titled "A Quantum Mechanical Analysis of Why Your Face," with 300 pages of peer-reviewed calculations proving that the Empire was, scientifically speaking, a bunch of party poopers. The Imperial Academy's peer review board had to take a month-long vacation to recover. Meanwhile, humans had turned the Empire's threatening broadcasts into a drinking game. Every time the Empire mentioned their superior might, people took a shot. Bars across Earth were making record profits. The Empire's attempts to maintain dignity were further hampered by Earth's newest diplomatic innovation, interpretive puppet shows. Every formal response to Imperial demands was now accompanied by a sock puppet recreation of the message, with the puppet ambassador's headpiece made of disco balls and plastic spoons. "We need to understand their psychology," demanded the Imperial High Command. The next cultural analysis team returned from Earth after 2 days, all of them wearing novelty T-shirts reading, "I went to Earth to study humans, and all I got was this lousy existential crisis." Their report read simply, "They're not taking this seriously because we told them to take things seriously. We have become the galaxy's helicopter parents, and they are the teenagers going through their rebellious phase. May the cosmic forces have mercy on our souls. The final straw came when Earth's official military response channel began playing nothing but increasingly bass-boosted versions of the Imperial anthem, mixed with what humans called cartoon sound effects. Admiral Varexert, watching his mighty fleet being reduced to a galactic meme, made a final note in his log. Day 47 of the war. The humans have weaponized cringe. We were not prepared. Somewhere on Earth, the Department of Intergalactic Trolling raised a toast. Remember, folks, announced the Secretary-General, in space no one can hear you meme, but by God they can feel it. Deep within the Empire's capital world, in encrypted chat rooms and secret underground meetings, a revolution was brewing. Not with weapons or warfare, but with something far more dangerous: humor. The movement called themselves the Order of the Holy Rofel. Their symbol, a badly drawn stick figure doing finger guns. Their mission, to spread the sacred art of not taking things so seriously. Welcome to today's meeting, announced the group's leader, a young Imperial citizen who went by the username _Empire Meme Lord 420_XKX. Before we begin, please recite our sacred oath. The gathered aliens raised their appendages in what humans called a dab and whispered, "When the going gets tough, the tough get memeing." The resistance spread through the Empire's youth like wildfire. Imperial Academy students began ending their thesis presentations with, "Thanks for coming to my TED Talk." Military cadets started calling their superior officers fam and responding to orders with weird flex but okay. The Empire's social structure was crumbling under the weight of Gen Z humor that had crossed the species barrier. "The situation is critical," reported the Imperial Minister of Social Order. "We've detected unauthorized usage of the phrase bottom text in over 60% of official documents." The Resistance's greatest weapon was something they called the Sacred Archives, a collection of Earth's finest memes, carefully curated and distributed through secure channels. Young Imperials were particularly fascinated by something called vibe checks. The Empire's prestigious Cultural Preservation Academy was thrown into chaos when students began greeting their professors with "What's poppin'?" instead of the traditional 47-minute ceremonial bow. Underground viewing parties gathered to watch contraband Earth content. The History Channel Aliens guy became a symbol of rebellion. Young Imperials started styling their head tendrils to look like his hair. Even the Imperial military wasn't safe. An anonymous group calling themselves 4 Chanthropologists had leaked classified documents showing that several high-ranking officers had been caught using human slang in official situations. One general was reportedly dismissed for ending a battle plan presentation with, "And that's the tea, sis." The Empire's attempts to crack down only made things worse. Their official anti-Earth propaganda was immediately remixed into what humans called YTPs. The Resistance's version of the Imperial anthem, featuring air horns and references to something called D's nuts, had more plays than the original. The breaking point came during an official Imperial parade. As the Emperor's hologram appeared before the crowd, thousands of young Imperials raised signs reading, "He do be vibin' though." The footage, leaked to Earth's Department of Intergalactic Trolling, became an instant classic. Resistance cells developed their own code language, mixing Imperial formal speech with Earth memes. By the sacred light of His Magnificence, this meeting is sus. The Empire's claims of superiority are based, but not in the way they think. "With all due respect to the throne, sir, this is a Wendy's." The Empire's intelligence services were helpless. Their most sophisticated surveillance AI had started responding to intercepted resistance messages with LMAO same. Parents across the Empire reported their children exhibiting disturbing behaviors, making poggers faces, describing things as absolutely yeeted, and worst of all, developing a sense of humor. The Resistance's greatest triumph came when they managed to hack the Empire's official communication channels. For 6 glorious hours, Every imperial transmission ended with "UU" or "Thanks for coming to my TED Talk." Underground newsletters spread forbidden knowledge. Top 10 Earth memes the Empire doesn't want you to see. Number 7 will make you question your allegiance to his magnificence. The Empire's cultural experts, already strained from trying to understand Earth's humor, now had to deal with their own youth creating bizarre hybrid memes. Pictures of the Emperor were being shared with captions like, "When you try to conquer Earth but they start speaking in memes," followed by 50 laughing emojis. The Resistance's message spread to every corner of Imperial space. Their manifesto, written entirely in a mix of formal Imperial language and internet slang, became the most shared document in Imperial history. "We hold these truths to be straight bussin' no cap FRFR, that all sentient beings are created based, that they are endowed by their creators with certain unalienable rights, including but not limited to the pursuit of dank memes." As the Empire's social order continued to crumble, the Resistance grew bolder. Flash mobs performing choreographed dances to remixed Imperial anthems appeared in government buildings. Young Imperials began ending their mandatory loyalty oaths with "Psych." The final report from the Empire's Social Order Maintenance Division read simply, "It's over. They've learned to laugh. May whatever gods exist have mercy on our perfectly ordered society." In their secret headquarters, the Order of the Holy Rofel raised their energy drinks in victory. "Remember, brothers and sisters," their leader proclaimed, "the real galactic conquest was the memes we made along the way." The Empire's diplomatic corps submitted their mass resignation in the form of a PowerPoint presentation. Each slide contained nothing but different versions of the "This is fine" dog meme, with the final slide simply stating "We out peace," followed by a mic drop gif. The Emperor stared at the resignation letter, his luminous glow dimming to a confused flicker. "What does "ite" Immer head out mean? And why is it accompanied by a primitive Earth drawing of a sponge?" His advisors, what few remained, shuffled uncomfortably. The head of Imperial Protocol had already resigned after young officers started responding to formal orders with "OK, Boomer." The military situation was even worse. The mighty Imperial fleet, terror of 27,000 star systems, was experiencing what their reports diplomatically called comprehensive morale issues. "Your Magnificence," reported Admiral Vera Exert, his voice strained, "the crews they're refusing to maintain proper military decorum." "Explain," demanded the Emperor. "The Third Battle Fleet has replaced all their formal call signs with what they call gamer tags. The flagship Eternal Glory now identifies itself as XX_NoScope_XX 420. The Admiral's colour shifted to a disturbed shade of puce. "The crew claims it's way more poggers." The Imperial Military Academy's graduation ceremony descended into chaos when the entire graduating class, instead of performing the traditional 7-hour loyalty pledge, performed something called the Macarena while chanting "Empire Machine Broke." In a desperate bid to maintain control, the Emperor scheduled an emergency Empire-wide broadcast. It was, by all accounts, a disaster. "My loyal subjects," he began, his voice echoing across the galaxy, "this foolishness must—" "Sheesh!" interrupted someone in the broadcast room. The Emperor's glow turned a dangerous red. "Who dares?" "Ratio plus L plus no planets plus touchgrass," came another voice. The broadcast devolved further when someone added a bass-boosted version of the Imperial Anthem as background music, complete with air horn sounds. The Empire's last functioning cultural analysis team submitted their final report before collectively requesting transfer to the Department of Watching Paint Dry. Current status of Imperial authority: military discipline, yeet. Diplomatic relations, big oof. Social order: instructions unclear, got stuck in washing machine. Overall situation, brew moment. The Emperor made one last attempt to rally his forces. He commissioned the Empire's finest propagandists to create a serious, threatening message to Earth. They submitted a TikTok dance challenge instead, claiming it would hit different. The military's final breakdown came during an attempted show of force. The Empire's most elite unit, the Imperial Guards, was ordered to perform their intimidating traditional march. Instead, they performed a flawless recreation of the thriller dance, complete with synchronized head tentacle movements. In the Imperial Palace, the Emperor watched as his authority crumbled in real time. His last loyal admiral approached with the day's reports, now written entirely in what humans called UUU speak. "Your Magnificence," the admiral began, "the fleet is having a little bit of a problem." The Emperor's glow flickered dangerously. "Is there anyone in this empire still capable of speaking normally?" "Fresh out of normal, my dude," replied the admiral, dabbing as he moonwalked out of the throne room. The final straw came when the Empire's most sophisticated AI, tasked with maintaining order across all Imperial systems, began responding to all commands with variations of "new com who dis" and "didn't ask plus ratio." In his private chambers, the Emperor watched a montage of his empire's collapse, set to something humans called Smashmouth All-Star. His mighty civilization, built over millennia of strict order and protocol, had been reduced to what Earth's historians were already calling the galaxy's biggest brew moment. He picked up his ceremonial communication device, its screen filled with notifications from something called Space Twitter, and made the hardest decision of his reign. "Connect me to Earth's leaders," he commanded. The response came back instantly. "First time?" The Emperor, ruler of 27,000 star systems, conqueror of 300 species, looked at his crumbling empire and did something no emperor had done in 10,000 years. He laughed. The peace negotiations took place on a neutral space station, which humans had already renamed Club LOL. The Emperor's arrival was announced by someone playing Imperial March on a kazoo. The Earth delegation arrived wearing T-shirts printed with "I survived the Great Meme War" and formal diplomatic pants. The Imperial delegation showed up in ceremonial robes accessorized with Guy Fawkes masks. "Let's begin," announced the UN Secretary-General, opening a presentation titled Peace Treaty 2, Electric Boogaloo. The resulting document made galactic history as the first peace treaty to include a vibe check clause and require all parties to keep it real. The signature page featured the official seals of both governments, arranged to look like a surprised Pikachu face. Key points included the Empire officially recognizing Earth's status as based AF, implementation of mandatory comedy workshops for Imperial diplomats, annual Galactic Meme Exchange Summit, joint research into the physics of why Earth keeps being extra. The Empire's transformation was swift and spectacular. The Imperial Palace, once a symbol of unyielding authority, became the galaxy's premier comedy club. The Emperor's new groove became its signature show, with His Magnificence himself doing stand-up routines about his former pomposity. "So there I was," he'd tell packed audiences, his bioluminescence timed perfectly with the punchlines, "thinking I could intimidate a species that named their first contact protocol ET Phone Home." The former Imperial Military Academy rebranded as the Universal University of Vibing and Applied Humor. Their most popular course, Advanced Memeology 401, converting military declarations into TikTok trends. Earth's influence spread rapidly. The galaxy's first intergalactic reality show, Keeping Up with the Imperials, documented the former empire's transformation. The episode where the Emperor learned to dab broke all known broadcasting records. Cultural exchange programs flourished. Young Imperials visited Earth to study the ancient art of shitposting, while human comedians toured former Imperial worlds, teaching the sacred techniques of dad jokes. The former Imperial capital became known as Space Broadway, with theatres performing everything from classical Earth comedies to avant-garde alien interpretations of human memes. The hit show, Hamilton, But Everyone is a Confused Alien Trying to Understand Earth History, ran for 10 straight cycles. Even the military found its new purpose. The Imperial fleet, renamed the Party Patrol, became famous for showing up at planetary celebrations with elaborate light shows and synchronized ship choreography. Their performance of Never Gonna Give You Up using battle cruiser formation flying became legendary. The final act of transformation came when the Emperor officially changed his title from His Most Luminous and Exponentially Expanding Magnificence to the Galaxy's Chief Vibing Officer. His first act under the new title was to establish the Department of Keeping It Real. Years later, historians would mark this as the beginning of the galaxy's golden age of comedy. The former empire, once known for its rigid hierarchy and ceremonial protocols, became the entertainment capital of known space. And on Earth, in the headquarters of the Department of Intergalactic Trolling, now a prestigious diplomatic posting, they added a small plaque commemorating the war that was won not with weapons, but with wit. Here lies the Empire's dignity. They never had one. 2024 to 2024. Gone, but low-key never really there. The Emperor, now a successful galactic influencer with millions of followers, would often end his broadcasts with the same phrase. Remember, kids, trying to suppress human humor is like trying to out-Pizza the Hut. It just ain't gonna happen. Now smash that like button and don't forget to subscribe for more intergalactic shenanigans. Peace out, Space Fam. And somewhere in the vast bureaucracy of the former empire, filed under critical historical documents, there remained a single sheet of paper. On it, written in both formal imperial script and Comic Sans, was the lesson that changed a civilization. The real power move is learning to laugh at yourself. Hash the end hash, no cap far fr hash, Empire did nothing wrong hash except taking itself too seriously.